Okay, so what do Buddhist monks and CIA agents have in common? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But the answer is actually pretty mind-blowing. They both believe in the incredible untapped power of the human mind. And today, here on The Explainer, we're going to dig into a wild story about a top-secret government program that, you won't believe it, lines up perfectly with ancient wisdom.
Now, take a look at this. You're probably thinking this is from some kind of New Age self-help book. But nope, this is a direct quote from a declassified CIA report from 1983. I mean, let that sink in. The CIA itself was saying that our thoughts, could actually influence reality if they're strong enough. So the big question is, how in the world did a spy agency end up saying something like this?
All right, so let's get into it. The CIA's Gateway program. You have to picture the scene. It's the 1980s, the Cold War is in full swing, and there's paranoia everywhere. The CIA gets wind that the Soviets might be dabbling in psychic espionage. You know, mind spies. And of course, they couldn't let the other side get an edge, so they decided to start their own program. They called it the Gateway process.
So what was this gateway process exactly? Well, at its core, it was all about sound. They used a special technique with something called binaural beats. Basically, you listen to these specific sound frequencies through headphones, and the idea was that it could get the left and right sides of your brain to work together, to synchronize. And if they could do that, they believed they could, unlock the mind, freeing it from the usual rules of time and space to access, well, a higher state of consciousness. And it wasn't just a one-shot deal. They had these audio tapes that would guide people through different focus levels. It started with Focus 10, where your body is totally asleep but your mind is wide awake. They thought this was the sweet spot for things like remote viewing, but it got even wilder. At Focus 12, participants started reporting that they were meeting their higher selves. And then, get this, at Focus 15, the CIA's own documents suggest you could actually exist outside of time. I mean, wow. Okay, but here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. The craziest part is, the CIA wasn't claiming to have invented something totally new. Even in their own report, they admitted that these ideas sounded a lot like concepts from ancient spiritual practices. So you have to wonder, did the CIA accidentally stumble upon an ancient science of the mind, something that people have known about for literally thousands of years? So let's talk about that. An ancient mind science? To really get this, we've got to shift our focus from the West to the East. Because yeah, thousands of years before the CIA was messing around with audio tapes, Buddhist teachings were laying out this incredibly detailed roadmap for understanding and unlocking the mind's true power. And they used this beautiful, simple analogy to explain it. They said to think of your untrained mind like a pond. Now, all the stuff from daily life, your worries, your to-do lists, what you want, what you don't want, all of that is like sediment, like mud at the bottom. And as you go through your day, it all gets stirred up, making the water completely cloudy and murky. And when the water's like that, there's no way you can see what's really down there at the bottom. So what is this sediment, or mud? In Buddhism, they call them the 3 defilements. First, you've got greed, which is just that constant feeling of wanting more. Then there's anger, pushing away everything you don't like. And finally, delusion, which is basically just not seeing things as they really are. These 3 things, they say, are what keep that pond of your mind constantly churned up. And this is such a crucial point. The whole goal of this ancient practice isn't to magically add some new superpower to your mind. It's the exact opposite. It's about removing all the junk that's clouding it up. It's about just letting all that mud settle down to the bottom. Because when it does, you can finally see the perfect crystal clarity that was actually there the whole time. Okay, so we have this beautiful metaphor of the pond. But is it just a nice idea? Nope. It turns out this isn't just some abstract concept. We have some pretty amazing, well-documented examples from our modern world that show what a mind like this, a perfectly still mind, can actually do. Let me introduce you to the monk who knew. So in Buddhism, there's this concept called Dhibba-cakkhu, which basically translates to the divine eye. It's this ability to perceive things way beyond our normal senses. And this power was famously demonstrated by a man named Luang Pu Sod. He was a highly respected Thai Buddhist monk who actually lived through World War II. And for him, this wasn't magic or some kind of trick. It was just the natural outcome of a mind that had become profoundly, deeply still. And there's this one story about him that just perfectly captures this. So picture this. 2 of his monks are in their room, the door's locked, and they think they're totally alone. They start complaining about their master, Luang Pu Sod, just venting, saying some not-so-nice things. They were absolutely sure nobody could hear them. Yeah, well, the next morning, they go to greet him, and he just looks at them very calmly and repeats their entire secret conversation back to them, word for word. You can just imagine, they were completely stunned. It was his way of showing them that a physical wall means nothing to a mind that's perfectly still and clear.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. On one hand, we have a top-secret CIA program from the Cold War. On the other, we have an ancient monastery. What on earth is the connection? Well, it all comes down to one single universal principle that they both stumbled upon: stillness.
And this chart really lays it out perfectly. Look, the CIA, the Western method, saw the problem as our limited 3D perception. Their tool? An external one, binaural beats. Now, the Eastern method, Buddhism, saw the problem as a mind clouded by delusion. Their tool? An internal one, meditation. But, and this is the amazing part, look at the goal. It's exactly the same for both. Achieve a state of stillness. They took completely different roads, but they were heading to the exact same destination, an expanded, purified consciousness.
So why does any of this matter to you? Because this isn't just some weird historical footnote. The fact that a super-secretive government agency and an ancient spiritual tradition both came to the exact same conclusion, well, that's pretty powerful evidence, isn't it? It suggests that this potential they were talking about isn't just for spies or monks. It's something that exists inside every single one of us. And the cool thing is, the method that masters like Luang Pu Sod taught is actually super simple. It's a meditation practice designed to do one thing: stop your mind from jumping all over the place. All you do is find a quiet spot, gently bring your focus to the center of your body, and then silently repeat a calming word or mantra, like Samma Arahang. That's it. By doing that, you just stop stirring the pond. You give all that mud a chance to finally settle.
And a really important thing to remember here is that this isn't about fighting your thoughts, trying to force them to stop. That's just like jumping into the pond and kicking up more mud. It's much more gentle than that. It's just about bringing your focus back to that one spot over and over again. And eventually, the stillness just happens. It arises on its own. It's a process of letting go, not a process of fighting.
So there you have it. From declassified CIA reports to the teachings of ancient masters, the message is crystal clear. Stillness is the key. It seems that whether you're using high-tech sound frequencies or an age-old meditation technique, there's a deeper reality that's accessible to every single one of us. It's just waiting. So the only real question left to ask is the one right there. What lies at the edge of your own consciousness?